Sometime around the 18th century, the Giovanni wanted a foothold in the markets of the New World, but all their attempts were constantly blocked by a Scottish family of bankers who owned several shipping ventures. Impressed by their financial acumen, the Giovanni investigated bringing the family into the fold. What closed the deal was the discovery that the Dunsirn were cannibals, as well as financiers. It was the perfect balance of money, depravity, and the ability to keep a secret. For centuries, the relationship between the two families was clear. The Dunsirns made the money, and the Giovanni family spent it like water. Surprisingly, even though mortal members of the Dunsirn family still indulged in the occasional bit of long pork, the Kindred don't show much aptitude for or interest in necromantic pursuits. Prior to the family reunion, there was an effort to force them into learning the ways of the Oblivion. But now the Dunsirn are happy to go back to what they do best, bleeding people dry. And this time, they don't need to answer to the fucking Giovanni to do it, either. Greetings, Kindred. I am Voivode Maquette, and welcome back to our world of darkness and another episode of Metaplot Monday. And today we're going to start going over the lore sheets found in the Cults of the Blood Gods supplement for Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition. Specifically, we're going to be going over the Bankers of Dunsirn bloodline for the Hecata lore sheet today. I love the Dunsirn. They're so depraved. They're disgusting. And it's not that they do a lot of things differently than the Giovanni. In fact, in a lot of respects, they're a lot calmer than the Giovanni. They're not really known for their necromantic practices. So Oblivion isn't typically a top concern for them. The human part of their family is actually the more interesting part, because where they are great at coming up with the cash needed to succeed in some of the ventures that the Giovanni family and now the Hecata attempt to do, their biggest thing is, as it said in the introduction, cannibalism. Human members of this family are cannibalistic. This is something that could very well come through with an organivore flaw if you wanted to add that to your characters or something like that. But the Dunsirn are money. That is the big reason why they are so respected, or at least tolerated, within the folds of the Hecata, and why they were chosen for the Giovanni. And I love the backstory of every time that the Giovanni attempted to gain a foothold into the American marketplace, like trying to get involved in like the stock markets and stuff like that. They were constantly like cock-blocked by the Dunsirn family. I love that. And the fact that their depravity and their money-making gave them benefits when it came to keeping secrets. I don't know. Seeing the fact that somebody has a dark secret of their own makes them more trustworthy in the eyes of the Giovanni because of blackmail material. Because if they have their secret, then they know that the Dunsirn are capable of keeping the Giovanni's many, many dark secrets. So, why don't we go ahead and jump into this lore sheet and see exactly what the Dunsirns have to offer in Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition. Investing one trait into this lore sheet gets you money obfuscates. It's hard to make money and not be noticed, but the Dunsirn have worked in the shadows for centuries. You've spread some of your family's money around to make an alternate identity for yourself. You get 2 dots of mask for free, though you must maintain this mask at least once per story. This character uses their money to create a completely different personality, and they have to go around and shake hands and do favors and make friends and keep up appearances as that individual. I really enjoy that. Now, this is something that somebody probably do during in weeks if a story allows for such things. But I could also see the flaw depending on how a character chose to do this. If a player decided to make an alternate identity and stayed within the same city, there's a good chance that the idea of a mistaken identity, or at least somebody who knows who that person is as the alternate individual, could very well cause problems. You could be in the middle of having a meeting with somebody at a restaurant, and then somebody else comes over who knows you as a different name and starts talking to you. There's so many different ways that this could get you in trouble, but also so many ways that this could bail you out, because a 2-dot mask is nothing to really laugh at. Investing 2 traits into this lore sheet gets you money talks. The Dunsirn find information in the most interesting places. All you have to do is spread a little money around, and people jump out of the woodwork to tell you things. Once per story, you can find information as if you had a contact's background with a number of dots equal to your resources. This ability lasts for a single scene. That's really cool. The idea of paying somebody off to get information that's a no-brainer. But the idea that you get contacts in one scene per story to match your resources can come in handy, especially if you've already spent XP on contacts itself. The ability to have that little bit more to gather information is always going to be useful. That's just it. The Dunsirn really know how to handle things like this. Investing 3 traits into this lore sheet gets you money enhances. You always have access to the best that money can buy. Having access to quality products not only acts as a status symbol, it also makes everything a little easier. When making a roll in which you can use your own equipment, you get a bonus dice to that roll. So this actually has come up in my game. We don't have any Dunsirn players in the Black Sheep storyline that's going on, but Sam, our resident Zemitzi, when he had a boon owed to him by the Hecata, he had chosen to have it paid back, given this merit. So Sam is always on cutting edge of technology. He has the access to this stuff, and the Dunsirn pay for it. That's one of the reasons why Scott has his phone number and is able to call him if he needs him and stuff. Why Sam has effectively become a contact for one of my NPCs, because they have contact information from him because of the deal that's transacted. And the idea of having extra money to buy the better things makes a lot of sense, and I'm sure all of us have experienced the situation where we don't have the proper equipment to do a job. This allows you to have the best equipment money can buy to do a thing. Investing 4 traits into this lore sheet gets you money multiplies. All Hecata know the Dunsirn are bankers, but most of them think of it as an abstract, as if banker is just a different word of saying someone with a lot of money. But you are, or are directly related to, a legitimate investment banker. Gain 3 dots, up to 5, in resources. In addition, anyone in your coterie loses the destitute flaw and can purchase dots and resources at 2 experience points per dot instead of the usual 3. This background here, this money multiplies thing, gives you such a benefit, because anybody within your coterie has access to your advice when it comes to what they should put money in, making sure that their character's income is going to increase. Therefore, they spend less points in experience on buying more of that background. I really enjoy the fact that so many mundane things have such overwhelming effects on this game. And money is one of those huge things that I mean by that. The idea that we're talking about supernatural creatures here. We're talking about monsters that drink blood, but they're still worried about what their income is. And this fits perfectly for how that works. Investing 5 points into this lore sheet gets you money dictates. You are the head of the Dunsirn family accounts. You have your undead finger on the pulse of the Hecata's financial accounts. And you make sure that everyone else knows it. You gain 3 dots of status in the Hecata. In addition, once per chronicle, you can either give every Hecata in the chronicle 2 additional dots of resources, or remove all resource dots from every Hecata in the chronicle. These resource additions or removals last for a single story, and if removed, generate a chronicle length adversary flaw in the form of one of the robbed vampires. This is a massive game change thing, because you can actually not only move your coterie up to a height of resources, because money does talk. You definitely can get away with a lot more if your characters have substantial resources, but this affects the entire clan in the area. Bolstering the revenue of an entire clan can be a tipping of the scales in their favor. Then again, removing it, making sure that all the Hecata in the area have lost all income it's kind of sick. And I love the fact that it does say that you gain an adversary for doing this if you've removed the income. You now have somebody who's going to be ticked off. And I'm just going to point this out. We haven't done the Milliner lore sheet yet, and we will, because that's not in this book. It's in one of the other ones, but they're called the Grudge Masters for a reason. And depending on what you do, or whose businesses you get in the way of, whose plans you decide to manipulate by taking away all of their money, you are gonna be in a lot of trouble. So that right there is the Bankers of Dunsirn Bloodline lore sheet. I like the fact that this minor family has come up to become such a force within the Hecata. I like the fact that the Giovanni are still there, but I also like the fact that they've been moved out of the way so that these lesser families can shine, that they're not just sitting in the background waiting for the ability to be able to accomplish their own goals. You actually get to see things on a much broader scale now, and that's enjoyable for me, because the clan of death, I'm not going to say the Hecata, I'm not going to say the Giovanni, the clan of death in general, be they the Cappadocians or whoever they manifest as now, has always been of great interest to me, because there's so much more when it comes to their story than a lot of other stories. I am Voivode Maquette. This is Our World of Darkness, and thank you for joining me in this look at the Bankers of Dunsirn lore sheets on Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition for this Metaplot Monday. Good evening.